tell us how you first formed as a band and how you and all of the band members connected when you first originally met.
Okay, yeah. We're called Selfish Things, and the name comes from the song 23 by Jimmy Eat World. It was my 23rd birthday, and I was in a bit of like a legal battle with my old band because they'd taken some songs and signed a new record deal with it. So Toronto's a really small community,
right?
And we had I had maybe 10% of our friends side with me in this kind of like legal duel.
Right.
So it was my 23rd birthday, and nobody really showed up, and I was with my wife, my now wife, but my girlfriend at the time, and we went back to my parents' basement and put iTunes on shuffle, and of all songs that came on my 23rd birthday, it was 23 by Jimmy Eat World. And I heard the line like, I won't always know these selfish things, and I was like pretty much ready to quit music at that point, but then decided that I would give it another shot for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
And
you hear something and it's like fate almost.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, the stars really aligned.
Right.
With that. So I started the band by myself, and then our old Canadian booking agency from my old band, they called me up when they heard the first single I had put out, just by myself, and I went to a meeting with them, and there was an intern named Cam, who's now our rhythm guitar player.
Oh, cool.
I had this meeting. I was like, "Yo, dude, do you play guitar?" And he's like, "Yeah, I play guitar." And I was like, "Cool, want to join a band?" And yeah, so he's been with me since the beginning. And Mike, our lead guitar player, he was friends with Cam from an old band, and he grew up in the same hometown as him. It's Barrie, Ontario. It's like an hour north of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of redneck. They're gonna hate me for saying that. It's kind of redneck. And then our drummer actually was a chef at the restaurant where I met my wife, and his band kind of called it quits, and I messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to, do you still want to play drums?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I do." And I was like, "Cool, like, just hop on this," and that's kind of how the band all came together. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
So you answered my question about how the band name came. So
yeah.
that was my second question.
So
I was really interested in knowing. And so what bands initially inspired you to begin making music? I'm guessing Jimmy Eat World was a huge one. And
Jimmy was big. I wasn't like a deep cut Jimmy Eat World
guy.
Like my wife is like a diehard Jimmy Eat World fan. It was weird because we got to play with them 3 times last year at Slam Dunk because they were headlining.
That must have been like
super weird. Yeah, I was like, it was like literally 3 years to the day almost that I decided to like start the band, and 3 years later we were on the same bill as them, which was really weird. And then we played Montebello Rockfest in Quebec, and my wife hadn't seen them live before, and she came with us and just like cried the whole set.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Jimmy Eat World is definitely one of them. I'd say the biggest. I know it's not like, I by no means say this endorsing what Jesse Lacey did, but Brand New was always my biggest influence.
For sure.
Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard Confessional. And then I've always looked up to songwriters as individuals as well. Like I love Teddy Geiger, Max Martin, Ryan Tedder. I just think melody is such an intricate thing,
right?
And those people as songwriters and as lyricists have always really inspired me. So
cool.
So the emo side, obviously,
that
kind of like pop songwriting side.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. So you recently dropped your latest single, "Drained," with Ryan. How did that match and pairing come about? It was
really organic. Like Ryan, we're on Raw Power Management.
Right.
We're definitely like the smallest band by far. We're not Bring Me the Horizon. So yeah, we're on Raw Power, and Ryan ended up signing to Raw Power around the same time that this tour like came into being.
Right.
And I wanted somebody to sing on the album who had legitimacy in the scene. I think like one thing rap does really well is they have artists co-sign kind of like the new acts, which helps propel them and elevate them. So we were having an A&R meeting, and I was like, "Yo, like, who do you think could sing on this?" And it was like, "Why don't we ask Ryan?"
Nice.
So we sent him the song, and he's such a wonderful and kind person.
Right.
Like, don't meet your heroes, but meet Ryan Key is what I've been saying to people on this, because he's such a lovely guy. And he heard the demo and loved it, and he was kind enough to lend his voice to it. So
cool.
Yeah, we're really blessed to have his kind of like stamp of approval.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sick. So this is kind of related to that song, the question. There's a conversation going on in the beginning. Do you get this question a lot?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was like trying to figure out like what it's about,
yeah.
but obviously I don't know because I doesn't explain, but could you explain a little bit like what was going on and how that conversation got put in the song and how it relates to the song?
So our producer Drew, who's like one of my best friends, his producer name is Wizard Blood.
Okay.
He's from like North Carolina, and he's super nerdy and jokes around a lot. Whenever we start a song together, he always asks for context. So when we write together, he can kind of understand the emotional backing of the art. So he'd asked what it was about, and one of my mentors is like a very like lovely Orthodox Jewish guy, and we have calls every week, and just so I can kind of like keep my equilibrium on the road and continue to grow as a person. And he had introduced me to a phrase from the Talmud, which is kind of like the Jewish Book of Rules, when I was about to get married, and he actually officiated our wedding. And I'm not even Jewish, so he said, like, being in a relationship, when it comes to like love, is in the Talmud, it says it's harder than like parting the Red Sea like Moses did. Like it's a bigger act than like splitting a sea.
Yeah.
And I found that really fascinating. So when I sat down to write Drained, I wrote it, I guess like maybe 2 weeks before I got married, but it was really about the idea of like, or the concept of when everything goes to shit in a relationship, you really love somebody, but all you can see is the negative in them.
Right.
And how it is like an arduous act. Love isn't something that's easy as much as it's supposed to be.
Right.
Love is natural, but it's not. To maintain it and to grow together is like a very selfless thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Drew he pressed record while we were talking about it, and I didn't know. And then when I got the bounce of the song, he'd thrown the conversation at the beginning of it, and I was like, oh, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We should keep it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is kind of like a personal question for like that I really was interested to know. So I feel like mental health within the music industry is like an avoided topic. In your own words and experience, how do you feel about the importance of mental health, and has this been a personal struggle for you, trying to gain success within the industry and grow as a band and the scene?
I think mental health is a twofold issue right now.
Yeah.
I'm worried for like the consciousness of humanity, because I think it's become a form of social currency. I think it's cool to be depressed now.
Right. It's trendy. It's trending.
It's like to be anxious or to be sad or any of that stuff has become like...
And then it kind of ruins it for the people that actually do
suffer.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tread carefully. It really bothers me that a lot of artists in 2019 write music about drowning their sorrows in Xanax and alcohol.
Right.
I think that shows kids like the worst possible example.
Right.
I think it's really important to talk about mental health. I think it's really important to address that and show people that it's okay to be sad, or it's okay to feel like garbage. And I just don't think it's okay to tell people to sit in it.
Right.
Like, it's fine to be sad. It's not okay to sit in it.
Right.
If you know you're depressed and you know you have anxiety, you should go to therapy.
Right, exactly.
If those resources aren't available to you, then you should talk to your doctor about perhaps like going on like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors or SNRIs or anything.
Right.
There are so many avenues, especially in North America. I mean, Canada, we're really lucky, but where you can get some modicum of support. And yeah, I think it's definitely important to talk about, but it's also important to fix.
Right.
And a large like swath of the music industry right now is more about wallowing in it than it is about actually getting to a place where you can feel like yourself again. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's very long-winded. But it's something that really bothers me.
No, yeah, it bothers me too, and I almost kind of feel like it's why most of us are trying to have a successful career within the music industry, whether you're a photographer or a musician. It's like we're all here because of like almost that reason. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
So, what does Selfish Things have planned for the future? Do you guys have any tours planned, like late spring, summer?
Everything is like very under wraps right now, which sucks with this question. We have a very busy year ahead. Obviously, the album's done. So when we get back home from this tour, we're like shooting some music videos.
Cool.
We're doing moving visuals for every song instead of just like the static visual with audio.
For sure.
Just because I really hate that.
Yeah, just doing something different.
Yeah, just trying to be different on a YouTube playlist. Right. Really. So yeah, we have a new single that's not about to come out, but it'll come out in probably like next month and a half. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and I wrote it almost a year and a half ago. It was my first session right after the Simple Plan tour with Drew, and I just met him, and it was one of the first songs we wrote together. But yeah, so we got a bunch of festivals kind of lined up for July and August, and then some very awesome tours that we're going to be end up hitting towards fall and winter. But for most of April and early May, we're kind of hunkering down and finishing all the visuals and everything for the album cycle. So
sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have. That was an awesome conversation. Thank you so much.
I really know. I appreciate it.